Big opening. Pass 5. Pass 10. Vertical command. And he goes all the way to the 15-yard line. 17 yards of the carry.
Welcome back to Believe in Badgers on the Believe Network, presented by BetOnline.ag and Oak Bridge Wealth Management. I'm Matt Perkins, joined once again by Badger legend, the Hebrew Hammer himself, Matt Bernstein. Bernie, how we doing today?
Yo, buddy. I'm good, man. It's a holiday. Literally, it's Halloween, whether you celebrate it or not. As you could tell, I'm celebrating. I'm a skeleton, Coop.
Hey,
you look like a skeleton, dude. You look good.
Oh,
look at you. You're a football player. You are Coop. Dude, it's great to have you back. I know this is part two of a double session that we're having. So thank you for being back.
I'm happy to.
Matt Perkins, what are you, a coach? You look like a coach.
Yeah, sure. Today I'm Coach Perkins today. So I didn't even realize.
You look like Barry Alvarez on the sidelines.
You know what? I could
the headset.
I could never rock. I could never rock some of the stuff that Barry rocked. The red pants. The red pants are a step too far for this guy. So, but yes, that is Jamal Cooper. He is back once again for part two of hopefully more than many part twos, because we've got a lot to talk about with Jamal here. Before we get into it, though, I want to remind everyone tuning in that we continue to be presented by BetOnline.ag, the world's most trusted gambling platform. Especially with the NBA season back, you can get everything you need for wagering on the NBA over at BetOnline.ag. From opening tip-off to buzzer beaters, BetOnline has you covered with the best odds, biggest promotions, and live in-game betting on all of your favorite teams. This season, every game matters. BetOnline has every stat, matchup breakdown, and live odds to bet on during the game. And it's not just the NBA. BetOnline has odds on everything from football, NHL, political props, and more. Head on over to the website today to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering, BetOnline. The game starts here. And of course, our main man, Chris Anicetti, and his team over at Oak Bridge Wealth Management. If you are a pro, future pro, or current NCAA athlete with NIL deals, Chris Anicetti is the man that you need to connect with to get your money right. Over at Oak Bridge, Chris and his team of professionals will create a comprehensive financial plan to set you up to navigate your lifestyle and future market conditions. Oak Bridge specializes in wealth management for professional athletes. They know all of the pressures that they face on and off the field. Chris and his team will set you up with a bespoke plan to make your money work for you off the field so you can focus on what you do best, perform on the field. Get in touch with Chris on Instagram at OakBridgeWM_Anicetti. That's OakBridgeWM_ANICETE, or visit the website at OakBridgeWealthMGMT.com. That's Chris Anicetti and Oak Bridge Wealth Management. Keep getting your money right, people. Keep taking care of your money. Jamal, you have been around a lot of these NCAA athletes that have been getting some of these NIL deals. Tell us a little bit more about, first of all, your defensive line coaching, because you've been coaching defensive linemen in your area for a long time now. How did you get into that? And then sort of what are you doing today?
I got into it just by osmosis. I had some guys that were doing it already, and I kind of just started with them. And then I just broke out on my own. I wanted to see if I could do what I did all my career, which pretty much was just train and mentor guys. Like the guys I started out with, I feel like I coached, helped with Shaughnessy, I helped with OB, just some of those guys that kind of flourished. It was always me just being a student of the game and then just passing the game on. I feel like any great athlete does that, or anybody that just loves a game. And so I got into it, and the first couple of guys I worked with was a guy named Joe Moore. He actually ended up going to Arizona, and then another guy named Noah Erzine. He went to Oklahoma. And so once I seen that I can get guys to school of that magnitude, it was all in from that point. And so it's just starting with the basics. I think a lot of times when most people talk about training, especially high school guys, they try to start off and go and teach guys NFL stuff. And I think first you got to make sure the guys know high school stuff. So know how to punch, know how to read and get off a block. And just start real simple and build a good foundation and good fundamentals. And then once I know you can stop the run and you can play good against the run, then we'll get into all of the fun stuff, the pass rush skills and all of that. But we want to make sure you can stop the run because, especially in high school, most of these schools in Missouri, I'm pretty sure it's like that in Wisconsin. Well, I know it's like that in Wisconsin. It's ground and pound. And so making sure everybody can stop the run, then we get cute and fancy and do all the pass rush stuff that kids like to do,
Oh, yeah. Get after the quarterback when I was playing defensive line was way more fun than stop the run. And playing in rural New Hampshire, all everyone did was run the ring T. So it was a lot of just hold up against the run. And that's no fun for anyone.
Yeah. But you got to know how to do it, though. And if you don't, you're going to get your face punched in. And so you don't want to be that guy. That's every play.
Cool. Yeah. Well, Coop, so let's talk about as like I would say undersized defensive lineman.
Who was?
Who
was undersized? You was undersized, Bernie. I wasn't undersized. I'm just.
As a running back, what are some of those? What are some of those things you teach that's like, hey, you can be a D lineman at 220, 230. You can be a D end. Here are some of those like unique maybe features or things that from your toolkit that you can kind of pass on.
So it was chess. It was really playing chess on the football field. So I don't know if I should give all this away. I'm telling my secrets. So what I would do is I would always attack with my weakness first. So my weakness is my strength. So the first play I'm teaching my guys, if you're a smaller guy, the first play of the game, we coming out and we hitting the guy in the face as hard as we can. And so the reason I'm doing that is because I want to get in this guy's mind and let him know, despite me being small, I'm still coming with it. And now if you think about a mindset of a smaller guy going to punch a bigger guy, that's going to cause him to come off that next play, come out super aggressive, super fast. Now I can use my skill set of all my different moves and stuff. And so it's really, one, I teach them about the game in terms of the game inside the game of playing chess. And then if we've been honest, it's the old school low man win. Make sure you stay low. Make sure you're playing with good pad level. Make sure you allow space to keep the guys up off of you. I always tell everybody, when you talk about the run, you want to be like the hitman. The hitman, you got 2 nines, so you want to keep your arms extended to keep a guy up off of you. And then when you talk about the pass game, you want to be like a guy with a knife. With knives, you got to be nice and tight. And so teaching those basic fundamentals with the guys and making sure they understand pad level, leverage, eyes are key. A lot of guys have bad eyes. They have their eyes all over the place. I teach something called the triangle read. So a triangle read, it's ball, man, back to the ball. And so with that, it gives a guy a place where they should look. Because a lot of times guys don't know where to look, and they looking in the backfield. And I kind of equate it to, just say if you're fighting a guy and you think about the quarterback as your girlfriend, right? If you fighting a guy in front of you, you wouldn't be looking at your girlfriend. You want to take care of the guy in front of you first before you actually go look and go get the girlfriend that you want. And so teaching guys different things like that is some of the key pieces that I come with to make sure guys understand fundamentals and different things like that.
So
Matt Perkins, I was using that swim move, punch fundamentals at Wando's. Let me go get that girlfriend. Never worked. I never got there. I was a horrible D lineman at Wando's.
Hey, and Bernie, I want to say something. You said something last podcast, and I really didn't like it. You said, I was the guy that I had to coach to practice. And I was kind of pissed because I was like, you had weight privilege. When you 250, 260, you don't got to go hard. And ain't too many people finna push you around. If I would have went soft any play, like one play, my ass would have been about 10 or 15 yards.
Listen, dude, I didn't coast through practice. Like every rep I took was at full speed. Mm-hmm. I just didn't want to take all those reps. I was like, man, I don't want to do inside for 20 minutes. I want to do it for 5 minutes. And let Greg Root take half the reps. So like that's what I meant.
Okay,
like,
because I was a little pissed.
I did everything at 150 miles per hour. I just didn't want to do all of it. It was a lot, dude. So half the practice, I'm like, can we just get the hell out of here? It's a lot. Dude, you know what the best time practice was for me? 7-on-7. I was like, why don't we do this for 4.5 hours? This is the best. I go in for 3 plays every 10 minutes.
You ain't like taking on them linebackers, big dog?
Dude, I did, but it gets tiring, bro.
I can only imagine.
Look at this thing.
I can imagine, brother. It ain't little, but so you
head
got some heat.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Bernie, I've got a recommendation though for that big head of yours. I think you should put a melon hat on it. If I'm going to be quite honest, because it is the world's most durable hat. You might have the world's most durable head, considering all of the hits that you took playing fullback. But we're doing a little segment here. Hang your hat on it, like always, presented by Melon. Jamal, question for you: if you had to have one trait that a defensive lineman has to be able to hang their hat on to get to being a D1, an FBS defensive lineman, what do they have to be able to do in order to get to that level?
Play with a motor. This is a hard one.
That's my job. I got to put you on the spot here.
Yeah, because if I'm honest, I've seen some guys make pro and they look lazy as hell, and so. It's size, man. Even though I was fortunate enough to kind of slide by, it's really intangibles like, damn.
Well, some people you can't, like, there's some molds of human beings that you can't replicate, right? Like, there's not a lot of, like, 6'8", 290-pound, like, specimens walking around who can play O-line. Or,
pad. Pad level. I got to go with pad level. Being able to bend your knees and play with a low leverage, that's probably one of the most important things. Because hands you can kind of teach. Even effort you can teach. Eyes you can teach that. Playing with good pad level is something that most coaches want to see. And playing with a certain level of explosion as well, especially nowadays. You got to be explosive. There is no more big, bulky guys playing anymore. So like a big Aaron Gibson, like he like that, you don't have guys like that in the league anymore. He'd be chop suey right now, And so you got to be able to move nowadays. So movement. If I'm going with anything, you got to be able to move nowadays. That's what college coaches want to see it. Whether you're an interior guy or you're on the edge, because everything is so quick now as well. It's not a lot of like slow developing plays like it was when I was playing, and it's hard playing defense now as well.
Well, I was going to say, Bernie, this is kind of the same stuff that Clint has told us before, right? What they're looking for is body mechanics in a lot of ways. And when I think of Clint, I think of the Cosgroves, and I think of St. Louis, and that's where you are coaching. And there are so many good players in general coming out of the St. Louis area. But defensive linemen in general, I think, Mekhi Wingo, a guy I know that is, turned into one of the biggest transfer portal athletes of the past couple of years. Yeah. What has it been like working in St. Louis? And I don't want to say like a football renaissance, but one of the real hotbeds of talent in America right now.
So it's actually fun because I feel like I'm part of that wave of creating these players. So I actually worked with Mekhi one time, actually several times, and I was kind of hesitant and kind of was like, why are you leaving after having such a good freshman year? And so, but to be able to work with and be part of these great players that are coming out of St. Louis, it's an honor and a privilege, to be honest. And I feel like it's my duty as well to make sure, one, I get the guys out there, and two, I make sure they don't make the same dumb mistakes I did. So that's kind of the biggest thing that I'm hanging my hat on. It will be no more guys from St. Louis, if they work with me, that have that ticker with them going across the screen, hey, this guy got kicked off the team. And so I feel like it was one of those things where it was a blessing, but I'm also like, everybody behind me is going to have so much wisdom and knowledge on how to do the things and how to come into a program and just kind of be that guy that everybody loves.
We all make mistakes in college.
Hey, man.
It's just the way it happens. It happens.
It's a blessing, Bernie. I'm blessed.
It's a blessing. Well, because now you can actually literally help and be like, guys, Google it. Google me. Here's what happened to me. I'm not messing with you. I'm not telling you something that didn't really happen to me. This literally happened.
That's the blessing.
So you're working with these dudes. I mean, so much has changed since we were there in 2005. Yeah. How has it been for you to like evolve in this time period of like, I don't know, lawlessness in college sports?
I love it. I'm not mad. I love it, man. Like I say, we're now in a time where the power is in the athlete's hand. It never was the case. It always was coaches pretty much ran everything. And so now it's kind of like an equal playing field in some ways, and coaches got to respect players a little bit more. And so to me, that always wasn't the case. You know, you had coaches that could stack a roster. Think about how many times Alabama had probably about 10 5-star guys all in one room, and they wasn't playing that way, and they wasn't going to go anywhere. Now, if I'm stuck behind somebody, I have the option to go somewhere. Even though, you know, in some ways, I think sometimes it's best to stick it out. It's circumstantial as well. But I love it, though. I love the power that the athletes have. I love all the different things, all the endorsements that come in their way. And so it's really now important that different mentors and those guys have mentors. So if you are a college student out there, you are a college athlete, get with somebody that's been there before. Get with somebody that actually knows how the system go and what's going on. So that way, you'll kind of have somebody, kind of a tutor, walking you through that process, because you're definitely going to need it, and it makes everything go easier.
So, Coop, do they have people who walk your guys through the process? I mean, through like the process of like, how do you ask for endorsements? How do you ask for money? Like, does that happen? Like, what is behind closed doors? You don't have to tell us everything, but like, what are you seeing? Like, how I can't even wrap my head around if someone came to my house, like let's say back, and he's like, well, we're going to give you 50 grand and a bonus here. And, I don't know, Coors Light as your, you know, like, how does that, I mean, that would have been mine, but how does that, like, what's the process? And are there people in place for these young kids trying to make these decisions?
Nobody's in place for them. So that mentor is key. So one of my guys up at Mizzou, he kind of had moved up the depth chart, and when he went to go talk to the coach, he asked for the money, and he was like, dang, I should have asked for more, because he said yes too quick. And so it's one of those situations where I'm like, hey, next time, let us sit down and let's talk about what you're going to do, so that way you go in and maximize everything. But it's also one of those things where if you leave something on the table and you outperform what you've done, you always can go back and renegotiate. And so that's the other cool part about what's going on. But to say there's somebody up there talking to them, no, but it needs to be. But that kind of the onus is on the player, but that's a lot for 19, 20-year-old, and they're not thinking about that. No.
Wait a second, Matt Perkins. Hold on. Coop, you're saying that these dudes like can renegotiate their NIL deals? Like, so, you know, if they do well?
Yeah, so, you know, it's pretty much a tiered system. Like, depending on whether you're starting, whether you're a backup and stuff like that, you know, it's a certain amount of money that's available for you. So if you ask if I'm just say, hey, the range is from 100K to 250, and you only ask for 100, hey, you left money on the table. And so, yes, it's tiered up, but you kind of got to know what you're worth.
And there's no in between. There's no like lawyer in the room or parent who's saying like, hey, let's talk about this. That is nuts to me. It is the exact same thing. This reminds me of any time anyone got really injured, they never brought your parent in. They never brought somebody in to say, hey, should you get a shot in the hips 4 or 5, 3 times? You know, like, hey, the lasting effects are this. You know, like I'm 18, 19, 20. All I want to do is play football, and I don't know that I should be asking these questions. This is another kind of gray area, because everyone should be asking for 250 if that's my opinion, because then someone's going to say, well, no, you know, I just did my car. I went to Carvana. So is there a place that you like go and see your worth?
That part I'm not sure about.
So I will interrupt there because On3 does their own evaluations of players' NIL potential, which I, on a personal level, find very problematic. Because it assigns a dollar value to the worth of a human being, like, and for a kid, right?
To their skill set, not like their actual being a person.
Well, but if your name, image, and likeness is you, right? That's what, that's what you're projecting out there. So but so there are places that do that. Now those are relatively public. There are proprietary ones I know that are used by schools and collectives to estimate the value of a player's, based on their rankings and how they see them in a lot of different ways, not just as like a physical prospect, but as obviously positional, right? Quarterbacks are going to be worth more than offensive guards. But yeah, so there's a lot that goes into it. It's pretty nuts.
It's pretty nuts. Cool. Is it so weird to see like dudes you're training to just all of a sudden overnight pretty much make 100K, 500K, like whatever that number is, to see it like happen that quick?
I love it. It is weird, but I love it though, because it's like just this person who I've just been working with, and now you getting all these blessings, and I love it for him, man. And because when else could that happen? When else could you go from me making no money out of high school to now I'm making anywhere between $100,000 to $500,000? That I'm
I'm all for it. I just think that it's the Wild West, and it doesn't make, to me, it's hard because I don't know if it makes it's not fair across the board, right? I'm not saying life is fair, but it's not even the NFL model. And the NFL model is at least more fair than the college model is at this point. So that's all I'm saying. Listen, I'm happy that kids are getting paid. A lot of kids could use it, and they should use it. And a lot of these dudes, listen, I never played in the NFL. It would have been nice to have some type of money coming out of college after spending, 15 hours a day at the stadium, during the season, and maybe a little less in the off season. I mean, you're talking about like we were there almost all day, every day. So cool. Let me ask you an academic question then, because these kids are getting paid to play football. No one's paying them to go to school. Is school still important in this kind of like? Are these kids getting scholarships so they're going for free, or is it now something like worked into the NIL? And do they have to actually produce in the classroom?
So for me and my guys, school is important because we're talking about, I always talk plan A. Everything is plan A. And so with plan A is life after football. Because life after football is going to happen no matter what, whether that's college, whether it's high school, whether that's pros. And so for me, I always talk to the guys about building another vehicle. Because I don't know about you, but I had PTSD. Post-traumatic sports syndrome. Once you stop playing sports, your identity as a football player is gone, and you have to recreate a person and be this whole new being that you're not used to. And what sucks for some of us, I know for myself, I didn't think about that at all. And so for me and my guys, we talk about and we kind of plan out, hey, what do you want to do? And I kind of send them in a certain direction. And kind of had them talk to a couple of different people. So everybody who I work with is 3 people I make sure they have a good relationship with to help them with life after football. First person, athletic director. The connections and the people that the athletic director know can make your life so much easier. Second person, your head coach. You should have a good relationship with the head coach because you don't know how long that head coach is going to be there. And the same thing. If your head coach know you're a good person and knows what you want to do, once you get done, they're going to put in recommendations, put you in the right direction. So that way, once everything is over with, you're good to go. And then the last person is strength and conditioning coach. But that's more so because that's the person you see every day. And that's the person that's really going to be building your body up. So that's a little bit outside of academics. But to me, academics is important because, as you and I know, football is not forever. And so for some people, I'm not sure. I don't want to tell you something I don't know, but I know for my guys, most of them are on all of them are on athletic scholarships. I've heard about the NIL deals that are put into where it pretty much pays for your school. I think that's happening where schools are running out of scholarship money, and then they'll just let's bring the NIL deal to pay for that. But for all of my, we take a school serious, very serious.
No, I like to hear that because you're right. And nobody thinks about this either. So it's good that you're in place like helping high school kids because nobody thinks about, life after football. Yeah. Dude, it's like 40 years of life after, maybe more. That's a long-ass time to not think about it.
And so, everybody think they go into the NFL and nobody's planning for life after. And so, yeah. So for my guys, school is important. And heck, I'm a teacher, so education is always going to be important.
Cooper, you still telling the guys to go sit in the front row and go introduce themselves to all their teachers?
I'm telling them to be Barack Obama. That's what I'm telling them to be. Everybody should know you and love you. They should know you by first name, and I don't care if you like them or not. They should know how you feel. They should think you love them. So doing the right thing, because as you and I know, how people look at you and how people view you in a relationship you have with people allows you access to certain things and allows you certain get-bys. If we just honest, is the person that you're nice with and cool with is going to get a totally different person with somebody you don't know. You just going to treat them differently. And so building relationships is pretty much the biggest thing that I'm teaching my guys that I feel like I kind of didn't understand when I was in college. And I think a lot of guys don't understand just the value of politicking and relationships when it comes to
and networking. Yeah. I mean, we didn't know we were doing it, but we were doing it.
Yeah.
Because when I go back and see, Wando in the front of the line, I'm like, hey, Jay, he's like, all right, Bern, you get on in there.
Yeah.
So, hey, listen, you know what? And maybe as little as that is, but as big as someone's going to put you out to get a job after or something. You just don't know what that is. And I agree with you. You just got to go through life being the most positive person you can. And then you will, I think good things happen to you.
Always.
Well, let's end this show then with the positives then that we can find in the rest of the Badgers season going forward. Iowa this week, which is always a tough matchup for the Badgers in Iowa City. Do either of you guys have a particular Iowa City memory from the games you played there?
You want to go first, Brian?
I mean, not anything that I'm so happy about. I mean, it was a dump of a locker room. I got hurt. Bob Sanders hit me in the knee, first play, sprained my MCL. My last game in 2004, we lost there to not win the Big Ten championship. I literally have no positive experiences. If I went to Iowa, it's a whole different experience. I mean, these guys, their fans are literally 5 feet away. You see where my closet is? These dudes are literally there listening to you have to basically whisper so they won't yell at you. They were saying punt alert on first or second down. It gets kind of comical, excuse me, but it's a really difficult place to play. So I'll give them some respect, but not really. I just hated. We lost 4 years in a row when I was there. It's just a painful team, but we've had much more success. So, but Coop, anything you remember?
Yeah, so I got two good memories. I got one funny one. So kind of in connection with what Brian was saying with the fans. I used to wear this little thing around my head when I was playing. They used to be like, hey, why you got panties on your head? And then the other one is kind of my last year playing them. We actually beat them. And so I think it was I forgot the score, but it was the year we went 12-1. And so for myself, I had a play where I forced an interception. And so, yeah, my last time playing there, it was good things, no injuries. So, but yeah, so overall, yeah, my last time playing there. But it was always a fun environment. And it's one of those places where it's going to be a funny story where it's somebody going to say something that make you laugh, even though, if you're getting your ass whooped, you may not want to be laughing, but it's going to be some fun with it.
I was actually at that game, Coop, in Iowa City, 24-21 game against Iowa. That was my first game going as a visitor to Iowa, and I had a great time. I was treated much better there than I have been in most other Big Ten stadiums. So, I mean, that's all I can say. I enjoyed my visit to Iowa City, mostly because y'all won, but that didn't hurt. But it was a good time.
Winning's the cure.
One more thing though. I didn't like playing Iowa because we had to ride the bus. That's one thing that's the only thing. We had to ride, and it was like a 3-hour bus ride. So that's the only other thing I didn't like about playing them. Everywhere else we pretty much flew, but we always drove the bus.
Wait, cool. Hold on. Explain why riding a bus for 3 hours, nobody gets this anymore. There was no phones. So like you literally sat on the bus and you watched whatever one movie they might have put on. There was nothing else to do. You could read a book. I'm not going to lie. I wasn't a book reader at this time. So it's like, watch this movie or sit there with my thoughts.
And don't forget them tight ass seats we was in. You leaving out that part with no leg room, and they little as hell for little bitty ass people. Like everybody is big, and it's not like they had some chairs where there was adjustable and you could just lean them back because you couldn't go too far back because you're gonna be on somebody's knees. And so and you was cramped as hell. And so don't leave out that part.
Well, what you should have done when you had those cramps was pull out a little bit of Cheribundi because it has all the antioxidants that you could possibly need to get your body right before the game gets started at halftime, wherever it is. Cheribundi, tart cherry juice, reduces soreness, increases your recovery, promotes better sleep, and helps support immunity. Used by everyone. Go get some. Cheribundi.com.
Hell of it, man.
It's so good.
It's
so good.
This guy's the sharpest lead into these ads. It's really good. I got a melon head. I like that, Coop, though. I got the most durable head. Coop, we're playing Iowa. We need one more win to be bowl eligible. Is this game super important to this team, or we still got 3 games after a bye that are drastically important? What do you think this means to the program right now?
So if you take a look at last game, first half we was off to a good start. We came out ready to go, and then we just had some missed opportunities, and Penn State made some plays. So now I think as a team, this game is important because you want to see how you respond because you had one good half, then you had a bad second half. So now I think this game is very important in terms of the psyche of the team, them getting back to, hey, are we going to start and are we going to finish this game? Because that's what, like I said, we've been looking for a complete game from these back. Mm-hmm. And so against a good opponent as well. We have some complete games, but they haven't been against so much good opponents. And so we're looking for them to put a complete game together. So I think this is a big one for them. And Iowa's always a rivalry. I think what's the trophy that's on the line?
The Heartland Trophy.
The Heartland Trophy.
So this kind of like a Minnesota game to me. I know it's not as long as the rivalry, but it's that same tension is there. If you ask any Wisconsin guy, that we hate Iowa the same way we hate Minnesota, and so I say yes, it's definitely a big game.
What I'm concerned about is the turnovers from Braden Locke, who's thrown a pick in every game, and Iowa's defense always forces a ton of turnovers. Sebastian Castro, one of their defensive backs especially, is someone who really stands out. But this is also a first start for Iowa's quarterback this week in his career. Now, he came in relief of Cade McNamara last week, who got injured and looked pretty good against Washington. But it is the kid's first start at home. So I'm hoping that Wisconsin's defense is able to rattle him. Yeah. But in order to do that, they're going to need to get home, and the pass rush still just isn't getting home at the end of the day. So that's what worries me the most.
I mean, Coop, what do you see from offensively? If we don't take shots down the field, I think we can't open the run game. I think, and I think the most important is reestablishing the line of scrimmage. Yeah. I did not think our O-line played particularly well against Penn State. They got bullied, in my opinion. And what's sad about that is I think they were bullying Alabama's D-line. So, Alabama D-line had a good game, but I thought our guys played to their level. So I know we can do it. That's what's frustrating, right? I think we could do it. I thought, listen, Penn State is a good all-around team. And they played 4 quarters, and we maybe not all 4 quarters. I think they were slow in a little places. But they played like the 0-4 defense, right? Like when we played Kyle Orton at Purdue, that was a fist fight. Our offense was not very good, and it was waiting, and one mistake, dude. That guy, if he fell down, the game's over. If Kyle Orton just fell down, the game is over, and we lost. He tried to get a couple extra yards. You remember Rob Brooks hit him, and Sparky picked it up and ran for a touchdown. I think you were on the field for that because I think I watched it the other day. So it's like we're just not there yet, right? Like these stupid little teeny mistakes. They're not so little, but they come out to bite us in the butt because we're just not. I feel like we're at 83% if I score carded, and if we're at 85% '89, I think that's where we win games better. That's not a good metaphor, but like we're just making these little mistakes that drag us down. But on defense, we got to reestablish the line of scrimmage as well and stop the run. I mean, that's it. Try to beat us passing the ball. That's what I've always said. For Coop, I was hurt in 05. You and me had to go in the weight room. There was other people in there. I can't remember who else. Maybe Gorman was in there too. So it was like a bad us three together were not the people you put together. And remember, Herbs made us hold the 25s out as in like a he would make us hold them out like a cross.
Yeah. Herb,
and just hold them. Like there was no real time limit. It was like, dude, just hold them. And we would be in there and we'd just be holding them, screaming at the top of our lungs. And you started it. You were just like, ah, ah. And we all were doing it. Everyone was hurt. And the volleyball team walked in. And we just got so much louder. And these girls ran in. They got whatever they needed in there very quickly and ran out as fast as possible. And it was just so comical because I think even Herbs was like, what the hell is wrong with this group of like Neanderthals, but literally just iron like cross holding 25s, screaming our lights out. And then if he got mad at you, remember he put the two 25s together on the soft side and he'd be like, don't drop these weights. You're like, yo, it's 50 pounds in my hand.
Man, Herb is a beast, man. And the crazy part about it, we was there to see kind of that maturation and like the genesis of everything that he was doing. And actually going into my senior year, all I was working with was Herb. So I was working out only with Herb. And when I say I felt like a machine and looked like an animal, I was at like 220 finally. I was rocked up solid. And it's all because of him, man. And just kind of his workout routines and just his mindset and how he gets everything together. And so, man, we see right now he's doing big things. And I want to say here in San Diego with Harbaugh. And so, man, just kind of we was blessed, man, to see just get that early stage of him. You know, he gonna make you burn a little bit, but that's what Herb make you do. But he turn you into a damn beast, and so you gotta love him, man. And so, but yeah, man, we had some good times up there, man.
We had some good times.
Well, we always have good times here too, as well, Bern. I'd like to think probably not as good as that. That sounds well. I don't know. Physically, this is a little bit superior, but in the memory bank, those memories are definitely worth it. But we appreciate everyone tuning in to Believe in Badgers here on the Believe Network, presented by BetOnline.ag and Oak Bridge Wealth Management. Until next time, on Wisconsin.
On Wisconsin.
On Wisconsin.